Hey guys, welcome back to Sparkman Homestead. My name is Krista. We are outside this morning because it's beautiful and I actually need to go and take my pepper and tomato plants out of the greenhouse, and today is the day I'm going to actually start to harden them off. So I need to come out to the greenhouse. We are at the time of year where it is summer during the day, like extreme summer, and then nighttime is winter. So I have been having to put additional heat in my greenhouse at night because we have all of the pepper plants up here and all of the tomato plants up here. So they are requiring additional heat, and I just put it on with this. I am able to actually sync this little fancy tool I have here. It's just a temperature gauge in here, and I can actually sync it with my phone. I have an app on my phone and it tells me what the temperature is in here. So last night it got down to 49 in here, and it actually wasn't at night. I find that the temperature in my greenhouse actually drops about 5 a.m. That's when I see the biggest spike in it. This app is really cool because I can see the pattern for what the temperature is over like the last month. It gives me a breakdown and I can see the different spikes, and it seems to be 5 a.m. is when it's the coldest in here. So last night it got to 49 in here, which I have pepper plants in here, which they are looking like they are doing okay. So what we're going to do is this morning we are going to take these and put them outside for about an hour, maybe an hour and a half, and we are going to start the process of getting all of these guys hardened off. The reason you want to harden your plants off is just so that when you put them outside, they're used to already having that full UV, whereas when they are just in this greenhouse, they're not used to the natural sunlight. So as soon as you put them outside, and if you just leave them out there, they will burn. So you need to gradually get them used to being out in that full UV, which is called hardening them off. So we are going to go and do that and put them out for about an hour and a half, and then bring them all back in, and then tomorrow we'll probably put them out for about 2 hours, and every single day I'm going to gradually increase that time that they're out there, because I'm not going to be planting these for at least, I would say maybe 2 more weeks. Now, technically tomorrow is our last frost date. It's supposed to be our last frost date. And it's saying that it is safe to plant these outside effective tomorrow. That is based on the Farmer's Almanac for my area. I am in zone 7B. Sometimes, some years it's 7A, but right now it is 7B. I'm right on the Tennessee-Kentucky border. I am about 45 minutes north of Nashville and about 30 minutes south of Bowling Green. So I'm kind of in the middle, and my frost date actually is not even a Kentucky one. It is a Tennessee frost date. So I go by that, but I just know from gardening in this particular area now, this is going to be my 4th year at this property, and I know that we always get a late frost in April. So these are not going to go out until May the 1st. Now I have a majority of my garden actually out right now. The only thing that I am waiting to plant out are all of my very frost tender things. So like my peppers, my tomatoes, my squashes, my cucumbers, all that stuff, waiting till May the 1st. But everything else is pretty much outside. I do have a couple of things here or there that I actually still need to get into the ground, like my beets. I really need to get those put into the ground. And I'm looking over here. I need to get my rosemary put in also, because that's fine to go out right now. So yeah, I'm just kind of assessing what I have in here, and I need to get these windows open because we are already at 75 in here. It changes so quickly in this greenhouse. The other thing that I have in my greenhouse up here, Stephen installed a fan for me in here so that I can kind of get these, again, get their stems a little bit more firm so that they're used to being outside. So we'll get the fan on also when we bring them back in. So let's get these plants outside right now. So I know for sure we have a mole in this garden because I don't know if you guys can see this, but that is a mole trail right there. We have really, really bad moles on our property. So we have traps kind of set up everywhere, but I've never had an issue with them in my garden. But apparently this year is the year because they are also getting into here. This is also covered up because our cat kept coming into here and it was liking to go to the bathroom in this bed. So, and it was repeatedly doing it. So we covered it up to try to deter the cat. But I'm seeing a mole thing in there. So I have to keep an eye on that. But everything else is looking fairly good out here other than the cat and the moles. We're doing good. I was able to pick a whole bunch of radishes already. I harvested 3 bunches full this weekend. This is how my cauliflower's looking. It's doing really good. Some varieties are doing a tad bit better than other ones. This is my broccoli. And then this weekend I also trimmed up our blackberry bushes. We only have 2 right now, but my hope is actually to get a couple more put over here. The problem is this side of my yard actually gets shaded. It will end up shading very soon, and it stays shaded until about mid-afternoon. So blackberries do like full sun, so I don't know how well it would do if I put any more over there. And then my peas are doing really good. They are really appreciating these nighttime lows that we're having. So hopefully they start to trellis up soon. So far everything is doing really good out here. I mean, I haven't had anything really completely die except for the turnips. They're not doing the best, but that's okay. If we don't get turnips this year, then we'll just maybe see if we can get some at the Amish. So the other thing I wanted to show you guys is we have our meat birds out now. I am actually bringing them inside right now at nighttime because again, our nighttime lows are like, the other night it actually got down to 36, I think. But I looked at the 10-day forecast and it looks like all of our lows starting Wednesday are all going to be in the 50s. So Wednesday, these guys are going to be staying out all the time. So I only have a couple more days of bringing them in and out, but I bring them out here. They love to be in the sun. But I do actually have to go and fix that fence right now because it is shorting out. Okay, so just had to fix the fence. So I have a live electric fence around here. It's 8,000 volts. So this is what I do with the meat chickens. We move the fences every 2 days, and then within the fence we will move this mobile chicken coop once a day. So every morning I'll move the coop and I'll feed them, and the reason I do it in that pattern is because that way they follow me because they want food. So they're gonna follow me and they're not gonna stay and get stuck when I'm trying to move that chicken tractor. So this is a live fence, keeps the cat out and it keeps other predators out at night because again, it is 8,000 volts. This is the fencing that we actually use when we have our pigs in our pasture. It keeps the pigs in and it keeps predators out. But they are, I don't know if you can see them in there, they are enjoying the grass. They've already gotten fed this morning, so now they're just kind of resting and letting their food digest. These guys, their main goal in life is just to eat. They do not do a lot of kind of scratching. They pretty much just eat and relax. I do like to have them on the fresh grass though, just so that they do have, you know, something else in their diet other than just the grain. So I don't know if you can hear the chirping, but we have chickies. These guys are all from the chicks that we hatched. Actually, that's a lie. There's 6 in here that are me going into Tractor Supply to pick up a bucket. So there's 6 chicks that I went and got because I needed to go and get a bucket. In my defense, the chicks that I bought were white chicks and dark chicks, and the reason is because I don't have any of those right now in my laying stock, and I really want to get some. So my hope is By me getting those little chicks, the 6 of them, with these other ones, I now have a whole new flock for this year. Now, I don't know how many of these are actually roosters because it was a straight run that I ended up buying, and when you hatch your own eggs, obviously you can't really tell whether you're gonna get a rooster or a hen. Look at this little cutie. Fluff nugget. It's okay. I said it on my Instagram and I'm just going to repeat it here. I will always, always, from this point going forward, hatch out our next flock. These guys are hardly skittish at all. They are the most love buggish chicks I've ever had. They come up to me as soon as I come into this back room. They come running towards, when they hear my voice, they all start chirping. They're just so not skittish, and I'm wondering if it's because they're used to us and kind of hearing us while they were in the eggs and stuff. But they're perfect. He does want it, or she. I'm gonna call them all she's right now, but I feel that there's probably some roosters in here, but this one is my favorite one, just the coloring. This one, I think her mama was a, okay, here you go, here you go. Her mama, I think, was a Cinnamon Queen variety, and all of these have the same daddy, which is our buff Orpington rooster. So they're all mixed with the buff. So these pretty much are just gonna be all like a red production style hen, like a barnyard mix hen. And then the dark ones that I picked up at Tractor Supply, they had no idea what the variety was, and it was actually listed on the actual bin, and it said assorted variety. They don't know. And you know what was absolutely crazy is the day I went into Tractor Supply to purchase the bucket, they had 2 of those, they put them in those water trough things, they had 2 of them full of chicks. Everybody that was coming in to the store that day was just going right to the back and getting chicks. So I had to go back the following day and pick up another bucket. All the chicks were gone. So they literally sold out that day of the chicks. So I was super happy that I ended up getting them. They just had the bin that the chicks were in just labeled assorted because they don't know, and they're moving chicks so fast that I honestly don't think they care to have them sorted into different varieties. So I'm pretty sure that those dark ones are a bearded rock. I've purchased bearded rock from Tractor Supply before, and all of them turned out to be roosters. So I'm hoping that there's at least one hen in there. And the white ones, I absolutely have no clue what they are. So I'm really curious to see what variety that white one is, but we won't know until they're fully grown. Okay, I just had to go and wash my hands. Every time I pick up a chick or do anything with them, I am always coming in the kitchen right away and washing my hands really good. So today we are gonna do a little bit of a fun, let me just get light on in here, it's kind of dark. We are gonna do a little bit of a fun experiment today. We have a Costco membership, but we've kind of been seriously thinking about actually canceling it. Now it is coming up for renewal next month, and we have kind of been going back and forth on whether or not we want to keep it because I've been doing some price comparison with Azure Standard. Now some stuff is substantially cheaper at Costco, and I do have to drive into Nashville to go to Costco. So there is that element involved with it, but it's just, I've been going back and forth on if we actually want to keep it or not. Like if it is really worth the extra amount that we're saving. So we're trying to figure it out right now. But one thing that I do really like at Costco, and I haven't actually purchased them in a long time because I am not a fan of the ingredients in them, but it's their muffins. They're really huge muffins. You know how you can get the 6-pack. These are the different varieties that our Nashville Costco had available. They had this cheesecake one, which I have never seen before. They have the blueberry, which is right here. And then they had a vanilla chocolate chunk, which I think that one would be really easy to do a copycat one of. And then they had the OG double chocolate chunk, which is one that we are going to try to do today. I did not look for the price of them because I wasn't planning on purchasing them because, again, I'm not a fan of the ingredients that they have in them. There's a lot of seed oils and just a lot of not necessarily good for your body stuff. A lot of dyes also, which really don't need to be in a muffin. So I thought today we would attempt to make some Costco muffins. Now, we're not going to make the mammoth size muffins because I actually don't like those size muffins. They're way too big, and it's like, I'm not going to eat one of those whole muffins, and I feel like it's going to go stale if I don't eat it all. We're going to make a miniature version, or at least attempt to make a miniature version of the Costco muffins. I went on Pinterest and I found a couple of different blogs that had copycat Costco muffin recipes. Every single copycat recipe included a cake mix and a pudding mix. So I went to Walmart to look for cake mixes, and I started reading the ingredients on the cake mix, and I was like, this is counterproductive to me even making my own because all of those ingredients I don't like in the Costco muffins are in these cake mixes. So we're gonna first make some cake mixes. So they're really, really easy to make, and I usually actually have them on hand, but I haven't made any in a really long time. So we are going to make whatever brand you want to call, like Duncan Hines, I don't know, there's a whole bunch of different varieties that you can buy, but we're going to make some boxed cake mixes on our own, and then what we're going to do is we're going to use those into our Costco muffins. Now, the one thing that I have not been able to really master is making my own pudding mix. So we are making a sacrifice, and we will be using some of this in our muffins. Again, ingredients on this are not the best either, and I wish that I knew how to make my own pudding mix, and that is something in the near future that I am going to try to learn how to do, because I feel like maybe we're being counterproductive by using this. But it says no artificial sweeteners and no high fructose corn syrup, which the corn syrup is really what I'm trying to avoid. I hate that. But I mean, we still have the dextrose, we still have the cornstarch, which again will be a GMO product. And there is just a endless amount of ingredients that I can't pronounce. So we're gonna make an exception and we're gonna use these today. You can't always be perfect. We're modifying it to a certain degree, and we are taking out the boxed cake mix. So we're gonna say that it's a little bit better, but we're still gonna be using these. So today we are going to attempt to make 3 different flavors. We are going to attempt to make a double chocolate muffin. We are going to make a almond poppy seed muffin, and we are going to make a apple crumble an apple crumble muffin. So we are going to make 3 different types of muffins, and again, we're going to shrink them so that they're in more of a normal serving size. And then the other thing that we're going to do with them, because obviously we're not going to eat all of these muffins, we're going to make them and then we'll plop most of them in the freezer, and then when we want to have them, we can just take them out in the morning and defrost them and have them as a snack. Because honestly, these muffins are a treat. These are not something that I would gravitate towards for breakfast because they are full of sugar. So we are going to call these like kind of a dessert. So that is what we are doing today. So I thought I would turn the camera on and you guys are going to come along with me on this experiment. Alrighty, I got very distracted and I had to go outside and deal with something. So it has been about an hour and a half since we came in. I actually just quickly ran outside and put all of my plants back into the greenhouse, and then we turned the fan on because they've been outside for that hour and a half and I don't want them to burn. We're trying to gradually introduce them to the sun. So let's get started on the cake mixes. Now, one thing actually that I was also doing is I was making a apple pie filling. I did not can up any apple pie filling, but I did can up apples. So all I did is I took my canned apples, I combined them with a little bit of butter, a little bit of sugar, some cinnamon, and some cornstarch, and we just have them sitting there cooling right now. So the apple crumble muffin calls to use a spice cake mix. So that is the very first one that we are going to make. I will bring you guys closer so you can actually see what I'm doing. The other thing I'm going to do for you guys is leave all of these recipes linked below for you so you can see the measurements. The very first thing that we are going to add to the bowl is 1 1/4 cup of all-purpose flour. In my last Azure standard haul, I actually show you what type of flour I use, and it is a very good dual-purpose flour. It works well for sourdough and it works well for all of my baking. So the second thing that we need to add into this bowl is some brown sugar, and we are just going to use a light brown sugar. It doesn't say whether to pack it or just loosely put it in, so we're gonna do like a semi-packed brown sugar. 1 cup of that into here. And then we need to add 2 tablespoons of cornstarch, but I'm gonna be using an arrowroot. I prefer to use an arrowroot over a cornstarch. It is interchangeable with cornstarch, so I'm using some arrowroot. And then we need to add 2 teaspoons of baking powder. Oh, the other thing I need to do is my baking soda, or my baking powder, that's what we're using, is kind of clumpy. So I wanna get one of these things to make sure that it doesn't go in clumpy. We need a 1/4 teaspoon of salt. Then we need 1/2 teaspoon of ground ginger. Oh, I love the smell of ginger. It's very, very refreshing. And then we need 2 teaspoons of pumpkin spice. So I am just using some homemade pumpkin pie spice that I have. Oh, it smells like fall. It's very weird making this in the summer. All right, and then so now we're just gonna whisk these together. The other reason I really like to make my own cake mixes is I can control whether I'm using an organic product or non-organic. So this cake mix is essentially an all-organic spiced cake mix, which is perfect. And you've seen the ingredients, super clean, not necessarily healthy because we are using a lot of sugar, but I mean, it doesn't have all of those extra additives that really don't need to be in it. So that is just pretty much the base that we need. That is essentially what you would get into the, like if you were to go and buy a box of cake mix, that right there is what you would get. And again, I will leave the recipe linked below for you guys so you can see how you would actually make that. But what it does say is that you can store this in a mason jar or an airtight storage container. But because we are using this right away, we're just gonna put it into a bowl, and then that way we have it accessible right away for us. I'm just reading through the rest of the recipe here. Yeah, it just goes into detail how you would actually go about making the cake, which again, we're not gonna do. So let's move on to our second cake mix, which is going to be, we'll do the chocolate one next. We are going to add 1 3/4 cup of white sugar to this bowl. Again, these are not necessarily healthy recipes. Like I said, these muffins are going to be considered a dessert for us, so they have a pretty good sugar content in them. And then we're going to add 2 cups of flour. It does not specify whether it has to be all-purpose. So you could probably even do gluten-free in this if you'd like. We're just going to use an all-purpose flour. And then we need 3/4 cup of cocoa powder, 2 teaspoons of baking powder, and then 1/2 teaspoon of salt. And then we will whisk this all together. And same thing, we will just leave it in the bowl. And also, again, recipe linked below so that you guys can see the whole process if you actually want to make this into an actual cake. Next up is our vanilla cake mix. So to this one, we're gonna add 2 1/4 cup of flour. This recipe actually does specify that you can use a gluten-free flour in this mixture, but we are going to use an all-purpose one in this situation. Then we need 1 3/4 cup of white granulated sugar. We're just using that organic evaporated cane sugar. And then we're going to use 1 tablespoon of baking powder in this. And then 1 teaspoon of salt. Okay, and that's it for this one. And then we are just going to get the ingredients all stirred together. That is really how quickly these come together. And that's why I'm saying I normally have these in mason jars just so that I can have a really quick cake mix available. But I just have not made these mixes for a while. So I would show you guys how easy it is, because it really is. I know that cake mixes are really cheap to get and you can get some really fun flavors, but sometimes I just want a healthier option. I don't want all of those added things that are in the cake mixes. Okay, so we have all of our cake mixes done. So now we get started on making the muffins. I need to get my muffin trays out and get them lined with my muffin liners or my baking tins, I don't know, whatever you call them. I think we're gonna do the best one first. The best one in my opinion. We're gonna do the double chocolate first. So I'm just using these. I purchased these on Azure Standard. Last month they were actually on sale, but I only ordered 1. I should have probably added 2 packs because they were on a little bit of a discount. But I like these muffin tins, or I like these, they're called baking cups. I keep calling them muffin tins. Baking cups, because they're kind of like a greased one, and so I find that the muffins slide out of them really easily. I also got 1 stick of butter, so half a cup of butter melted, just sitting over here in the background. Now this seems like a lot of cake mix, so I am gonna actually measure it out because it says in the ingredients here, it says 1 box, which is 15.25 ounces. So I'm actually gonna measure this out because I feel like this is a lot of cake mix. Like that to me is more than you would get in a boxed cake mix. So I'm gonna just quickly measure that out and make sure that we're not putting in too much cake batter. So it does say in this recipe here, it says 1 box of Betty Crocker Super Moist Chocolate Fudge Cake Mix or any other chocolate flavoring. So obviously we just made that cake mix together, so that's what we're gonna use. The other thing that we need to use is 1 packet, so 3.9 ounces of chocolate pudding. So I just have the Great Value brand here. In this situation, I don't know if I would necessarily use the sugar-free option, just because we are trying to do like a copycat version of the Costco. I mean, I guess you could. If you're using like a sugar replacement in your cake mix, I guess you could maybe do a sugar-free option. It might work, I'm not sure. That would be interesting to experiment with. I'm gonna leave these out because we're making lots of muffins. Okay, so let's get these set aside. Oh, the other thing I want to get done is we need to get our oven preheated. We need to get it preheated to 350. So I just weighed out the cake mix. This is 15.25 ounces, and this is what we have left over. So this probably makes about 2 box mixes. So if you are making the chocolate cake recipe, please, please note it makes more than 1 box. So this is 15.25 ounces, and I'm glad we weighed it out because that would have not turned out right. We will keep this bowl because this is the right amount. I'm actually going to keep my scale out also so that we can measure the other cake mixes. So we're going to use our stand mixer, and we are going to use our whisk attachment with this stand mixer because it does say to beat together, and I find that my paddle doesn't always get stuff incorporated, so we're going to use this. So it says in a large bowl, mix together or beat together eggs, milk, butter, cake mix, pudding mix, and sour cream. So pretty much put all the ingredients in but the chocolate chips. And then we're gonna end up folding in the chocolate chips. Let's get the eggs put in first. And then we need 3 eggs for this. And then we need 3/4 cup of milk, and we're just using a whole milk. It does not specify in here what kind of milk you can use, like that you should be using. It just says milk. And then we need 1/2 cup of butter melted. And I'm really hoping that butter was not too hot because I did not want to curdle those eggs in there. Oh no. And then we need to add the box of chocolate cake mix. You guys, if you have cake mix, please, 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 I'm not giving shame for using cake mix. I'm just telling you that I want to try to learn how to do this stuff all from scratch. So if you have cake mix, please use that. We're using boxed pudding mix, so it is not perfect by any means here. Whoopsie, and we're spilling it everywhere. Okay, and then we need 1 packet of pudding mix. And then we need 3/4 cup of sour cream. So we're just gonna use this stuff. Okay, there's 3/4 cup. Get this added in. Okay, that's everything. So we're gonna put this down and we are gonna beat this all together. This smells like heaven. I cannot describe it. It is absolutely amazing. Alrighty, and now we are going to put in some chocolate chips. We're gonna put in 1 cup of chocolate chips. I'm just using a semi-sweet chocolate chip. But you could probably use any kind. Maybe you could use like a dark chocolate chip if you wanted to. So it just says to fold these in. So if you guys are interested in making the actual Costco size muffins, this recipe gives you those directions. I'm modifying the recipe by doing them in the smaller cup sizes. So it says spoon into Texas, and then in brackets it says jumbo muffin tin, lined with large parchment lotus cups. It's those cups that, you know, kind of look like the lotus flower. They are not like a standard muffin one like this. They're called lotus cups. And it says, for best results, fill each cup nearly to the top. Bake at 350 for 45 to 50 minutes and allow to cool if desired. If desired. So you could definitely take it out and eat it steaming hot, which I may do. So what we're gonna do is we are gonna take this and we are gonna scoop it into these muffin tins, and then 50 minutes. It might take less than 50 minutes because these are not the big, huge size ones. So we might start the timer for 45 and then we'll come and do a pin check. I'm even feeling that 45 minutes might be too long also. How about we start it with 30 minutes? Because normally a muffin this size takes about 25 minutes to cook. So we're gonna do it for 30 minutes. We'll come and then we'll do the toothpick check, and then we'll kind of assess from there. So let's get these filled up. We're gonna use our muffin scoop. I don't know what size scoop this is, but in comparison to my hand, it's a large scoop. There's no number on it. Usually they have some type of number listed and it's nowhere on here. So I'm assuming that it is a extra large one. This is a vintage one, so it's maybe why it doesn't have marker, I don't know, but it's an extra large one, and this is the one I usually use to do my muffins. So it says to fill them nearly full, which that is completely full. So we're gonna do completely full and see how that goes. We got 12 muffins. There's not a lot of batter left over. Let's get these in the oven now, and we'll start the timer for 30 minutes. I would imagine if you're making the actual Texas size muffins, like the jumbo, then you would probably only get 6 out of this, because I'm thinking that one of those tins holds about probably double what this one does. So again, 30 minutes. I'm gonna get this all cleaned up. I'm gonna get that other cake mix put into a bag, and then I'm gonna throw that in the freezer just so it stays fresh a little bit longer. And then once these are almost close to being done, we will get our second ones started, which I think, because I'm still trying to let this cool down just a little bit more. So I think we'll come back and we'll do the almond poppy seed ones next. So we have a little less than 10 minutes left on that. I actually went into my freezer and grabbed a freezer meal for supper tonight because after I get done making these muffins, I'm actually gonna go outside and try to get my beets put in the ground because I really should have did that last week, and I unfortunately just have not had time to do it. So I'm gonna try to get this stuff done and then go outside and deal with that. Hopefully I'm not too far behind. So we're gonna do the almond poppy seed muffin next. Now, unfortunately, I could not find the pudding mix that was required for this. This particular recipe calls for a white chocolate pudding mix. I could not find it at my Walmart, and that is really all I have. We do have a Piggly Wiggly here, but I did not go and check it out. And we have an IGA. So we have Walmart, Piggly Wiggly, and IGA. Those are our 3 grocery stores that we have in our area. And I only went to Walmart, and I could not find a white chocolate one. So we are going to use a just regular vanilla pudding mix. Hopefully that's okay. I mean, it is a little bit of a different profile, but we'll hope for the best. So I measured out this cake mix, and sure enough, it was way over. So the vanilla cake mix is kind of like that chocolate cake mix. It makes way more than what a box would be of cake mix. So this I measured out to 16.25. That's what the recipe says. A box 16.25 ounce Betty Crocker super moist white cake mix. So we're just going to use that stuff that we made. So it is almost very, very similar in ingredients and directions. It just says to mix everything together in the stand mixer. So we are going to do the 3 eggs. And we're gonna put in 3/4 cup of milk. Again, I'm just using whole milk. Then we're gonna put in 1/2 stick, or not 1/2 stick, 1 stick of melted butter, which is 1/2 cup of melted butter. We're gonna put in our cake mix. Again, that's that white cake mix. And then you're gonna put in 1 packet, which is 3.9 ounces of white chocolate pudding mix. Again, we're gonna use vanilla. It's a tragedy, I could not find the white chocolate. And then we need 3/4 of sour cream. Okay, and then we need 1 teaspoon of almond extract. And then we need 1 tablespoon of poppy seeds. And then it just says to mix these all together. That's probably gonna ding any second. So we'll just get these mixing together and then we'll check those. Okay, let's do a check on these muffins. I don't think they're done yet. They still look very wobbly, and I should have 2 oven mitts on. Give them a check. I'm thinking 45 minutes. Yep. Completely not done. We're gonna do 15 more minutes with that because that will bring it to the 45 minutes. So it turns out that that is the appropriate time for even that size muffin. Alrighty, let's get these in the muffin tins. Now this recipe says the same thing, to spoon it into the jumbo muffin tin lined with the large parchment Lotus cups, and then again, best results, fill them to nearly the top. And then same thing, bake at 350 for 45 to 50 minutes. So as soon as those ones are done and out of the oven, we will just put these ones right in there also. And I think I'm filling these too full. I'm definitely filling some of these way too full. So if you don't fill them too full, you won't need to do this huge ordeal, but you will get the 12 muffins. Our timer just went off, so we're gonna give it a check and see how close they are to being done. I can smell them, so I'm thinking that they're pretty much done. I think they're good. I think what we're getting coming up on that is just the melted chocolate chips. They look like they're done, and I don't want to overcook them because you want, yeah, I think they're done. You want them to be a little bit moist still, so we're gonna take these out. We're gonna say that these ones are done, and we will put the other ones in. So we're gonna put these ones in. And these I actually extended even more. I put an additional 5 minutes on top of that extra 15. So we're gonna set the timer for this batch at the full 50 minutes. I also forgot, I am using stoneware, and it does take a little bit longer to cook with the stoneware. So that might also be the fact. So just kind of play around with it. If I were you and you were using the smaller muffin tins, I would maybe check it at 45 minutes and see, because definitely 30 minutes was not enough, regardless whether you're using the stoneware or not. So I'm gonna get these over onto the cooling rack because we need this muffin tin to do our next batch. So we have about, 8 minutes left on these almond poppy seed muffins. I'm really starting to smell them, so I think we'll check them a little bit in advance. But look what happened with the chocolate muffins. They all kind of sunk in the middle. It's disappointing, but you know what? I think they're gonna taste delicious. They did stick a little bit to the top of the muffin tin, so I did kind of have to get a knife and just scrape them. I don't know if they necessarily would do that if you use the bigger muffin tins. I'm not sure, but again, I'm pretty sure that those are still gonna taste pretty delicious. They're really reminding me of like a brownie style, like, you know those 2-bite brownies? I don't know if those are still around, but just the little brownie bites. That's exactly what those are reminding me of. So because we can really smell these, I want to just give them a little check and make sure that they're not overcooking. I think pulling them was actually a good call. Yeah, they are done. With baking, the one thing that I have learned from repetitively burning things over the years of baking is always trust your nose. If something smells like it is done, it is most likely done cooking. So we'll turn the timer off on those, and then we will get these over onto the other cooling rack just resting, because it's doing the same thing where, because I filled them too much, it's sticking to the bottom of the muffin tin. So we got 2 batches done so far. We are doing good. I was upstairs just kind of doing some bills and stuff, and I forgot my phone upstairs, and that's where the recipe is. So I'm gonna go upstairs quickly, grab my phone, and we'll come back down, and then we will make the almond crumble muffin. All of these recipes are like really similar as far as like the main components go. They all have melted butter, milk, and eggs, and sour cream. So same as the other 2 muffins, we're gonna get 3 eggs added to our stand mixer. And then a 3/4 cup of whole milk. Again, I think you can use any type of milk. It doesn't necessarily have to be the whole milk. 1/2 cup of butter, or 1 stick of melted butter. And then we need 1 box of spiced cake mix. So on here it says Betty Crocker Super Moist Spice Cake Mix. Both of the other cake mixes that we made were way over. This one was about 1/2 ounce shy of a box, because it says here 15.25, and I think this came to like 14.5 ounces. So it's a little bit under, so hopefully that doesn't change anything, but I didn't want to make a whole new batch just for an extra like half an ounce. So we're gonna add that one in. This one calls for 1 packet, 3.9 of butterscotch pudding mix. So we are gonna use this guy. And then we need 3/4 cup of sour cream. Again, we'll just use this Nancy sour cream. And now we have our apple pie filling that we made. So it says you need to use 1 cup of apple pie filling. If you don't have home canned stuff or homemade stuff, they do sell just jars of apple pie filling, so you could definitely use that in here. So we're gonna measure out 1 cup of this, add it into here. A lot of this stuff that we're doing right now is in preparation for the summer. Like in the summer, I really am outside a majority of the time. I do not spend a lot of time inside the house. And then plus we do enjoy going camping quite a bit. And then car show season also starts in the end of August. So we are usually actually living at some car event in those months, and we're living out of the trailer. So I like to have these things available so that I can just take them with us when we go camping or anything like that, or on a road trip, anything. Summer, we're more out, more active. So freezer stuff is really good to have on hand. So I'm trying to kind of get a lot of that stuff done now before we're kind of out and about and I don't really have time to do it. So we got all this stuff done. We're gonna get this mixing together in here. Hey guys, I made a mistake. You're not supposed to actually add the apple pie filling to this. You're supposed to fold it in like we did the chocolate chips. So hopefully that doesn't do anything. But if you're doing this, don't make that mistake and do everything but the apple pie filling and then fold that in. I mean, I guess it's fine. It's just gonna make the apples not as chunky. This is a really runny batter also, and it's probably because we don't have enough cake mix. I'm trying to think a way around that. We might add a touch bit more flour to thicken this up. These particular muffins have an option to do a strudel top on them, and we are definitely gonna do that. So I have 2 tablespoons of butter in here, and I'm going to add a 1/4 cup of flour. Again, this is all-purpose flour, and then we're gonna add a 1/4 cup of white sugar. And then it just says with a fork, blend it. We're just gonna use a pastry blender, and then we're just gonna cut this butter because it is a cold butter. We're just gonna cut this into the sugar and flour. And you know what? We're not gonna add additional flour to that batter mix, and we're just gonna hope for the best. That's kind of how we do it. So we're gonna get these scooped in. We're gonna try not to add as much mix. Seems like there's way more batter to this than the other ones that we made. Yep, definitely way more batter in this one than the other mixes. So we'll be able to get another muffin tin done, but we'll wait until this one is done. Okay, now it says to take the strudel topping that we just made, and it says to put on top of the muffins before baking. It does say if you are going to be making the large Costco size, to put it in the jumbo muffin tin with those Lotus baking cups. So I still have my oven preheated at 350 because we just took out those other muffins. So we have more of the strudel left because we're still got more batter. So let's see how long it says. Same thing, 45 to 50 minutes. So we will do the 45 minutes with these ones. So about maybe 15 minutes ago, we took out these apple ones. They took about an hour, a little bit actually over an hour to cook. That's what they look like. We have our second batch going in the stove right now, and it says it has about 25 more minutes. I'm actually in the process right now of getting some kombucha made. I like to do that once a week, and I'm kind of behind on it. So I've got to get that made and then that cooling down, and then we've got our supper already out, which is a huge relief for me having those freezer meals available. So it is already 3 o'clock. I'm hoping I have enough time to get out there and put the beets in the ground. And also I think I'm gonna put my rosemary out as well. So hopefully, we probably have enough time because it's a beautiful day out. I think it's like 70 something out right now and the sun is out. So we have till about 7, usually about 7 o'clock, a little after 7, the sun doesn't set till now. So I have lots of time tonight to do it. And being that we already have that freezer meal out, it's so perfect. That is so much why I made those. Overall, I'm really pleased with those recipes. Like I said, more than half of those are gonna go into the freezer. Once they're completely cooled down, those are gonna go into the freezer for some snacks later on. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video and maybe that looks like something fun that you wanna try. I mean, definitely, and especially if you guys know of a recipe for making your own pudding mix, if you could maybe like leave a link in the comments or maybe let me know about it, because I'm really trying to find something that I can make where I don't have to rely on those box mixes, because then that recipe would be really kind of more of a natural recipe with no additives and preservatives in it. But it is what it is, and I think it turned out great. So again, I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I hope you have a great day or night whenever you're watching this, and I will see you on the next video. Bye guys.